athletes now move on, where they'll join 20 ninjas from the West region and 20 from the East. Next week, the national finals begin. Barack Barbaji, Bia Miller, and Zuri Hall, I'm Matt Osmond. We'll see you next time on American Ninja Warrior. Taylor Green is on the verge of making history.
It don't get better than this.
She's one buzzer away from the women's record. Can she make it? Taylor!
American Ninja Warrior, Monday on NBC and Peacock.
The live shows are back. Let's go.
You have come here to win.
That is what a live performance is all about. What do we think?
AGT Live, Tuesday and Wednesday on NBC and Peacock.
NBC4 News 11 starts with breaking news.
Now at 11, the hot is only getting hotter. The week ahead may break records in some spots as a fire to the north of us forces thousands from their homes. But first, we have breaking news in Long Beach, where a power outage is putting people in the dark this evening. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kathy Barrett.
I'm Jonathan Gonzalez. This is affecting a major chunk of the city. Our Tracy Leong is live there with more on the impact. And Tracy, it sounds like they still don't know how long it'll take to get the power back on.
No, Jonathan and Kathy, a lot of people are walking by here asking us if we know when that restoration time is. We've reached out to Southern California Edison. They still do not know when they're going to get things back up and running. Now, the power has been out for about 5 hours. We're here on Broadway and Loma. You can see just how dark it is, and a warning for motorists. If you drive through this area, the signals and the street lights are out, something my photographer Chad Graves and I noticed as we were driving through the area. Very dark, hard to see anything. You really have to rely on your headlights. A lot of people we saw out walking their dogs, out walking around here, they had flashlights or headlamps. Now, Southern California Edison confirmed this outage occurred around 6:40 tonight. They say that the crews are working as quickly and safely as possible to restore power, and they're trying to determine a cause right now. According to Brian Fisk with the Long Beach Fire Department, crews responded to a vault fire near Broadway and Loma, where we're at right now, around 6:42 when the outage was reported. SCE de-energized the vault to repair the damage. However, SCE has not confirmed that was the cause for this outage. Businesses and residents are worried if the power outage continues into the evening, and tomorrow it's expected to be another hot day, and they're concerned because their food could spoil, and without air conditioning, they say it is very uncomfortable. Now, we've mapped out to see which areas of Long Beach are impacted. As of last check, SCE says about 14,000 customers are without power. The boundaries are east of Quincy Avenue, west of Alamitos Avenue, north of East Ocean Boulevard, and south of East 7th Street. I spoke to people who say they're making the best of this outage, spending time outdoors with their neighbors as they wait for this to be repaired.
I'm glad that it's right, like in this time of day, rather than when it's like in the 90s, heading who knows how much hotter. But yeah, if it wasn't early in the day, then that's when this would be much more unbearable. But this is fine. Yeah, we got to be thankful that things are fine. Yeah, the power is out, but it could be so much worse.
We all just decided to make the best of it and come out here. We have some drinks. We have twinkle lights. We've got battery-powered twinkle lights. We've got our headlamps. I've got mine cuffed up right now. So, yeah, we're just trying to make some light, have some fun.
Yeah, Jonathan and Kathy, despite the power being out, a lot of people around here, they're in good spirits. They said they're getting to spend time outdoors right now when it's not as hot, right? The sun has gone down, so it's a little bit cooler, but they're talking to their neighbors, something they don't usually do when they're spending all that time inside. Again, SCE has not provided a time for when the power will be restored. Reporting live in Long Beach, Tracy Leong, NBC4 News.
Hope it's soon. Tracy, thank you so much.
And now to our other top story to watch this this week. What Tracy just mentioned, what could be the hottest week of the year. This dangerous extreme heat looking like it could break records.
And that heat kicks up the fire danger. Today, a small brush fire broke out in the Santa Fe Dam Recreation Area in Irwindale. Meteorologist Stephanie Olmo is here. She is tracking another scorching week with your first alert forecast. Stephanie.
That's right. It was a hot week, and in fact, some areas broke or rather tied records. That was the case in areas like Anaheim and Santa Ana. Will likely break records as we continue this week. So I just want to go over the temperature trend. Now, this is for Burbank. As you see, it gets a little bit hotter and hotter each day through Thursday. So we'll be starting up the work week here on Monday with temperatures around 10 degrees above normal. We'll be at 99, but by Thursday, you see we jump over to 105 for an afternoon high temperature. So we're going to feel the heat as we continue. And in fact, as Jonathan and Kathy just mentioned, we're talking about the hottest temperature so far this year for some of us in Southern California. So just a reminder, we have a heat advisory in effect through early Tuesday. Very important to maybe reschedule any outdoor plans that you may have in the coming days because that heat will continue to build. Make sure to check your cooling systems as well. As a matter of fact, on Tuesday, after the heat advisory expires, it gets updated here to an extreme heat watch as temperatures will begin to ramp up across the area. So you see the areas covered in this red. That is an extreme heat watch going to affect on Tuesday. Will be in place through Friday. So we'll talk more about the heat and how to prepare for what's ahead coming up in your extended forecast. For now, over to you.
Stephanie, thank you. And make sure you have the first alert forecast anytime with the NBCLA app. Right now on NBCLA.com, we have a post on the best clothing to wear in extreme heat and why it's more complicated than you might think.
Meanwhile, a wildfire is burning out of control tonight in Nevada. The Hawk Fire, as it's called, about 5 miles northwest of Reno, has already burned more than 15,000 acres there. The fire is spreading from the Sierra foothills and reaching the edge of the University of Nevada campus. Nearly 90,000 people are being urged to get out and evacuate. 3 people and 3 first responders have already been injured. Several buildings have been destroyed, and officials say the fire was human caused, but its exact origin still remains under investigation. And firefighters from our area are already in Nevada to help. The Little Tujunga hotshots packed up from their home in the Angeles National Forest and headed north. Officials say their expertise is very helpful to crews there battling the Hawk Fire. And now to more breaking news in Santa Monica. There has been a second shooting this weekend right along the very busy Ocean Avenue.
Police say it happened during a robbery. Our Ryan Williams has been monitoring the scene. He is in News Chopper 4 with more.
This was the scene in Santa Monica, just in front of the Santa Monica Pier entrance, where a man was shot after an attempted robbery right here on this walkway, right on connecting the Ocean Boulevard to the Santa Monica Pier. Now, the scene at this point in time, just about after 9 p.m., we could really see that this scene has spread out throughout the downtown area. We're looking here at 4th Street. This is 4th between Broadway and Santa Monica. A heavy police presence outside this parking structure, as well as on 5th Street. I can show you here, we had officers moments ago with a canine unit looking at some of these dumpsters to see if they could try to locate that final suspect.
And now more breaking news, this time in Whittier, where 10 people were hurt in a 2-car crash. One of the cars flipped onto its roof. The LA County Fire Department says it happened just after 9 o'clock at Telegraph and Biela Way. Of the 10 people who were injured, 3 of them are in critical condition. The cause of the crash is still being investigated.
Now to a tragedy and a mystery at Canoga Park. 2 women were shot in their car. One of them is pregnant and in critical condition.
The shooting happened in an alley right near an apartment complex. Our Makalo Medina has reaction from neighbors and the latest from the LAPD.
Police say 5 people were inside the car when someone opened fire. Officers believe the shooter was a 26-year-old man who they say ran from the scene.
This whole alley was blocked off pretty much.
Neighbors like Olga Valdez says the sound of gunfire woke her up around 7 this morning. At first, she says she thought it was fireworks. She estimates she heard about 5 shots.
We just had a shooting where 2 females were shot. One's pregnant and in critical condition. One's going to be okay. And so we're working on figuring out what happened to them. And so we have some good leads and we'll get going on that.
After the shooting, police say the car rolled down the alley and crashed into a refrigerator. The damage is still visible now. Detectives have not said whether the victim knew the shooter or whether the attack was random.
It's too early to say, but we have some good leads and we're working on that.
Police are also investigating whether gang activity played a role.
Pues más policía.
Valdez says she'd like to see more police, especially since this wasn't the first deadly shooting she says in the area. They had another one about a week ago, she believes. She says the neighborhood is shaken up and worried, especially some neighbors, about their own children, as they're saddened to hear a pregnant woman was shot.
And I have a young daughter of my own, 11 years old, so I can imagine her hanging out like that, thinking she's just chilling, relaxing, talking to her friend or whoever, and something like that happens where they get shot like that. It's unfortunate.
Neighbors here still very rattled. In Canoga Park, I'm Miguel Medina, NBC4 News.
And we're always looking for ways to make sure you're on top of the news. So here are the major stories in the week ahead. First, the meeting tomorrow between Paramount Skydance and the California Attorney General's office. The New York Times reports the two sides will have early talks to potentially settle a recent lawsuit. California and 11 other states sued last month to stop Paramount's $111 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery. Attorney General Rob Bonta says the deal needs to significantly change to satisfy antitrust concerns. We asked Alex Ben Block from The Hollywood Reporter if this meeting is just a formality or if there's any chance the state will actually negotiate with Paramount.
I think there is a path forward. The reason being that we're seeing that even Governor Newsom and a number of people who the mayor of Los Angeles and others who initially said, oh, no, we're against this deal. You know, they're going to merge these companies. It's going to cost us jobs. Suddenly they're saying, well, maybe there is a way to do this.
We reached out to California Attorney General Rob Bonta, and he confirmed he will be in L.A. this week, but would not specify why. We're still working to independently confirm the details of the meeting. Also tomorrow, Meta will be back in federal court in Oakland. Facebook's parent company is facing a lawsuit by 29 states alleging the company deliberately designed addictive features that harm children's mental health, including depression, anxiety, and body self-harm. And tomorrow begins another week in the murder trial of Tupac Shakur. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is accused of orchestrating the drive-by shooting of the rap legend in Las Vegas back in 1996. This past week, prosecutors allege Davis ordered the killing after his nephew was beaten by Tupac's crew just hours before. Davis has pleaded not guilty. He faces life in prison